Hi everybody, Derek Pollacchi here, back for another Coach's Clipboard, number 10, if you can believe it. And we're back with men's and women's head soccer coach at Sul Ross, Marquis Muse. Coach, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about what just happened. Home playoff game, first for the women's. And against Laterno, you hosted, lost in penalty kicks back on Tuesday. What were your impressions of the game?
It was a good game. Very good game. Two good teams. It was a playoff game. So no matter how, the standings end in the regular season, playoffs, they're always different. And, just a good game, ended in PKs. And unfortunately, we were on the wrong side of the PK, situation. But, very good game for the fans, and a little nerve-wracking for me. But at the end of the day, it was a good game for our team.
Double overtime.
Yes, sir.
Penalty kicks. You don't see that very often.
Not too often. Not too often. But it happens, and it happened on Tuesday.
It looked like to be a tale of two halves. First half came out sluggish. Second half, they played the soccer we're accustomed to. Do you agree?
Yes, sir. It was just really, really weird the way we started the game. Very slow. Weren't able to connect passes. We just weren't aggressive at all, And, as the game went on, we got more involved. Had a great halftime speech with them. And they came out, and we got the tying goal, and we were pushing. Had a couple opportunities to score some other goals, hit the post a couple times. But it just didn't happen for us.
I was going to ask, what do you have to do to channel that to get the kind of second half you've got?
I just have to let the girls, understand and believe in themselves. What we did the whole year got us to that point. And the first half, we didn't do what we were able to do the whole year. Second half, we were, and you saw the results. I think second half, we outshot them 10-1. It just was a different game. But and again, in playoffs and in any game in general, you can't start off slow. And that's what we did, and we put ourselves in a big hole.
It was your second straight playoff appearance. Where would you grade this season in comparison to last year's?
I think it was a good season. I'm a big advocate of you kind of get what you deserve. Soccer is a different sport. I tell the players, men and women all the time, soccer is a very different sport than any other sport. Basketball, you always get an opportunity to score a basket. You always get the ball back. Football, the same thing. But soccer, you only get out of it what you put into it. You got to create it for yourselves. And I think we did enough to create. I think it was 9 wins we had. I think we did enough to create the 5 losses that we had and the 1 tie that we had. I think we got exactly what we deserved out of the season. So it was a productive year for the girls.
In a lot of sports, you ask the question, what could you have done differently? What could you have done differently in that playoff game to have propelled yourselves to the win?
I think that's of course is a question for me, and there's always going to be the what ifs, and I could have did this as a coach, and but I think it kind of falls on all of us. Myself, my staff, the players, and at the end of the game, we realized that again we didn't do enough to win the game, and it's just how it goes. You have to go and try to win those games. The first half, we didn't play well. We didn't come out, and we didn't have the urgency to win. The second half, we did. And like I said, we got close and hit the post and everything. And but at the end of the day, when you look at the overall performance, did we do enough to win the game? I'm not, extremely confident that we did. And it went to penalty kicks, and we lost some PKs.
9-5-1 on the season, statistically the best season in women's soccer history here at Sul Ross. What improvements would you say you made from last year to this year?
I think that, of course, with the players, the older players being a year older, having gone through it a couple of times, this is our 3rd playoff appearance. And we talked about this last time, UTD game that we had last year with them in the playoffs. We lost 2-1. Could have won the game, and so it left like a bitter taste in the mouths of the players. And so I think that they wanted to kind of rectify that and kind of build on that, and we did. Brought in some really good players that helped out a lot. But overall, I think that us as a group, like we found out and we realized how to win, you know. And now we just got to take the next steps and figure out how to compete for championships.
Now, just correct me if I got something wrong. Second straight or third straight appearance?
Third straight appearance. First home. First time in the top 4. So every year we've kind of jumped up a couple of spots.
Better, right. Third straight appearance.
Yes, sir.
So first home playoff game. What does that mean for program history?
It means a lot. It means a lot for the girls, especially for the seniors. You know, we had 4 seniors. We had a couple of young ladies that's been with me since day one, and you know, for them to go from, I think we went 2-9 or 3-13 the first year and kind of gotten better. You know, I asked a couple of those ladies before the game. I said, did you think that 4 years ago when you first started, and you know, I walked into our first meeting and we walked out on the field and, you know, didn't have soccer balls and everything. We were starting a program from new. Did you think you'd be in this position? And they honestly said no, you know. And so they had great games, and it was good for them to be able to kind of end their careers, you know, in a situation like that. And a couple of them played a big part in. You know, Kelly was the goalkeeper for the shootout, saved, you know, PK. And then you have Rachel Hamilton, where you know, she's been there since day one, and she actually scored a PK in the PK shootout. So it's for her, that's a great memory to have your last time you kick a soccer ball be a PK shot that you make. So
you're going to lead me right to my next question. The seniors, Swenson, Hamilton, but there are a few others.
Yes.
Talk about the future of this team, because there's a lot of underclassmen here. So the future looks bright.
The future looks bright. Future looks bright. These girls are you know, they are very competitive, and they understand the game well. You know, sometimes I think they understand it a little bit too well, and we kind of were the victims of losses because I think they understood how good they were and how good we were as a team and things like that. But the future looks very, very bright. Very excited. You know, great group to work with. You know, I changed the formation this year at the beginning of the year. I told him, you know, we can stay in our same formation and get 6th place again, or we can change it up and we can compete for 4th and 3rd and 2nd place. And I told them, I said, just trust me. And they did. And we started off kind of rocky. I think we didn't win in our first 3 or 4 games, but they started to, again, trust and believe, and, you know, we ended up getting 4th place. We were at a point in the end of the season where we could have actually jumped up to 2nd place. So you look at that, very excited. And this is just in a year. You know, we've kind of jumped this good amount. So very excited for the future.
It's never easy to lose your starting goalkeeper, though, right?
Never easy. Never easy. Kelly's done a great job for us. Like I said, one of the initial players when the program began 4 years ago. And, you know, she's had a good career, you know. And so to lose her is going to be, you know, replacing her is going to be very important. But, you know, like you said, we got a good future ahead of us, and we'll just kind of see where it goes from there.
You're a very optimistic man, optimistic coach.
Very, very.
Did you see yourself at the beginning of this year at a 9-5-1 4th place hosting a home playoff?
You know what? No, I saw us actually going like, you know, 16-0 and you know, hosting the home playoff game. You know, I gotta be honest. You know, like I said, I told those girls in the meeting, hey, we can do this. We can stay who we are, stay in the same formations, you know, keep the same ideas, and finish, you know, close to where we did last year, or we can change it up. You guys can trust me, and we can get to where we want to be, or where I think we can be. And, you know, after that last game, haven't had a chance to speak with all the girls as a group, but I've spoken with some on an individual basis. And we all feel like, you know, of course we had a pretty good season, but we feel like we could have, you know, got a little bit more out of the season, and especially that last game. So I would really be dishonest if I didn't say I at least thought we'd be, you know, 15-1 or 14-1 or whatever. You know, don't think we deserve to lose, or I take that back. We deserve to lose those games, but I don't think we should have lost at least 4 of those games. So
is that the outlook for next year now? 16-0?
You know, for me, end of the season, you lose, and you kind of go back and reflect on the season. And you know, what I've done is try to upgrade and myself and the players and the ideas, so we can kind of go further up. So now, all this season did was kind of help me get an understanding of how to get to 1st and 2nd place.
Any final thoughts on this women's season as a whole?
You know, I think that it was great. It was great in terms of the individual players. I really stressed to them the whole year responsibility. That we all are responsible for this, and we have to put the work into it to get what we want. And I think that, like I said, we put in the work to get 9 wins. We put in the work to receive our 5 losses and our ties. So I think they got a better understanding of just not soccer in general, but in life. Like, you're gonna get what you put into it. And again, like we in that last game, and I don't think we put into it what we wanted out of it, and we got the official tie, but it goes down as a loss because we weren't able to advance. So kind of bittersweet. I like you, but I really, at this particular time, don't want to be here talking to you. I'd rather be in Abilene preparing for a semifinal game.
I'd rather that chair be empty too. Let's talk about men's soccer. Switch it a little bit. People ask me how the season went. I tell them the record, 2-13, and they kind of. But there's a lot to be excited about there, I think. A lot of outliers. Every ASC loss, besides the last 2, were 1-goal games. And it's an incredibly young team. You're in your first year as a program. There's a lot to be excited about.
A lot to be excited about. A little different dynamic than the women. I've had these girls for a couple of years, and we've kind of steadily gone up. And like you said, these guys are all brand new to myself, to the conference, to collegiate soccer, some of them. So very excited that we were able to compete as well as we did in these games. Again, the same thing with the women. I think that you look at the 13 losses or whatever and the 2 wins. The 2 wins, we definitely earned them. And the 13 losses, we earned those as well. So a great learning experience for the guys and for myself as well. And we're just going to look to kind of improve on some of those losses that we had, some of those mistakes that we made to endure those losses and kind of go from there.
Now, you say mistakes. Is it specific things? Is it just growing pains for such a young team?
I never like to make excuses, and so I'm not going to. But it's just us being young, and again, when we talked about this earlier, not understanding what it takes to compete at this level. The concentration level, the physical element, the nutritional element for the guys. It's a faster game and everything. So I think that soccer is different because we come in and we get right to it. It's not like basketball where we have a couple of months to kind of get acclimated to classes and everything like that. It's we're here before classes begin, right. And so they're already training and everything, and then classes begin, and so they have to figure that out. So I think that there's not specific. There are specifics, of course. I'm not going to tell you, but I think we just need to get better as a group, get a little bit more focus. We'll learn from the wins, the losses, the road trips, the game preparations. We'll learn from all that and try to improve.
There's only one senior on this team. Again, first-year program. It's a young team. They're going to be able to grow together.
Yes, sir.
How important is that?
Very important. Very important. I think they're already a really tight group. They hang out together off the field, on the field. I never had any problems with those guys kind of, not liking each other, I don't think. Them kind of going through all of this together and taking responsibility for their actions and for the outcomes of the games is good. So it kind of pushes us in a direction where they know where they are as a team and what we need to do to get better and to kind of push and get into a playoff spot.
Optimism, beginning of the year, you said this team is ready to compete now, and I think on many levels they did. Again, besides the last 2 ASC games, every ASC game was 1 loss, or excuse me, a 1-goal loss, and a couple different things go your guys' way. We're talking completely different. What are your early expectations for next year with these guys?
The same thing. I'm looking. I gotta say that I'm always looking to kind of put these players and myself in a chance, give an opportunity to compete for a championship. And I think if you look at it that way, then the steps kind of getting there will prepare you for that level. And I'm looking for us to definitely qualify for the playoffs next year, and hopefully be competing for one of those top 4 spots and have a double header home, quarterfinal matches with the men and the women both hosting.
So you're going into your first off season as a men's coach now with a first-year program. How did bringing up a women's program going into your first off season, how did that way back then help you get ready for the first off season of this new program?
It's actually different because with the women, like I started kind of with a good group, but bare cupboard almost, and so I really focused on recruiting and trying to strengthen the team in that regards on the women's side during that first off season. These guys, I got a very solid base, and for us, it's the spring and the off season is very important because our preparations are not for any particular opponents. It's just about us getting better, and we can focus on specifics. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is being able to, get these guys in the weight room, get them some agility stuff, and really just focus on some of the areas that we can improve on to kind of set ourselves apart and compete for a championship.
So what do you do during the off season? You've got this off season, you've got 2 teams, you've got recruiting coming up. What else goes into the off season now that men's and women's soccer have finished?
Of course, you want to reflect on the season we had, and you do it on a daily basis during the season and everything. But you want to reflect on the season as a whole, and then get to a point to where you're figuring out what it takes in order to get to the level you want to be at. I talk about trying to compete for championships, so I'm looking of how I can improve these players that we have here. How can I improve the team? Things I can do differently in traveling and game preparation and meals and things like that to get us to that level. But ton of recruiting. Right now I'm doing the schedule, which is a pretty good challenge, doing men and the women, trying to make sure those games line up, especially the non-conference games. But it's just working. It's just working. We lost the game with the women. On Tuesday, my wife was like, you need to take the day off and just kind of relax. And I was like, no, I'm going in today. And so I was up here about 9 o'clock and, trying to figure some stuff out to try to get us to where we want to be next year.
No days off, right?
No days off. No days off.
So Ross, head soccer coach, men and women, Marquis Muse. Coach, congratulations on a couple of great seasons.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.